Danielle, and I'm going to start by showing you how to make the cookies, and we'll start by gathering all of our equipment. So we're going to need a KitchenAid mixer, a whisk, 3 flat sheet pans, parchment paper, pan spray, bowl scraper, piping bag and tip, and some bowls and a strainer. So we'll start by talking about some of our ingredients. We're going to use almond flour, and right now we have 125 grams. And when looking for almond flour, you're going to want to make sure that it's not too oily. And if it's oily, you're going to want to dehydrate it in a low oven. So if it's oily, it'll create like grease marks in your cookies. So we have 125 grams of almond flour, 200 grams of powdered sugar, and 10 grams of cocoa powder, just going to sift everything together so it's nice and evenly mixed. You can use your bowl scraper to force it through the strainer so everything's nice and fine. You don't want to create any bumps in your cookies. If your almond flour is coarse, it'll leave marks and you won't get that shiny shell that we're all so used to seeing. So, this usually makes a little bit of a mess. At the restaurant, we use a much bigger strainer, and we always make much bigger batches because we go through so many of them. Another important ingredient in French macaroons is your egg whites. You're going to want to age them, which means that you're going to want to separate them 2 or 3 days in advance. So and when you're separating them, you want to be careful not to get any yolks in there. Because if you get yolks in your egg whites, the fat keeps them from whipping as stiff as you want them. And aging them, egg whites are made out of 90% water, so when you age them, it helps some of the water evaporates and their proteins bond together a little bit stronger. So now we're going to add, you're going to turn your mixer on low speed until your egg whites start to get frothy. Once they're frothy, we're going to slowly add our sugar. In this sugar, I have a pinch of cream of tartar, which it's an acid, so it helps your egg whites become more stable for humid days like today. So when whipping your egg whites, you're going to want to whip them on medium speed for most of the time so that they, you build a nice stable egg whites, and at the end we'll turn them up to full speed just so they get as fluffy as possible. So you're always going to want to bake macaroons on double sheet pans to create even baking. And you're going to want to spray your sheet pans and make sure you get the corners really well so that when you put the sheet pans in the oven, the parchment paper doesn't blow. Sometimes the parchment paper blows and then you get some disfigured macaroons, which the staff at the restaurant really appreciates, but they always tell me that they don't discriminate against macaroons, even though we do, so. never realize how long this takes until you're standing up here. Yeah? Why do you age the egg whites? When you age the egg whites, some of the water evaporates, so the proteins, when you're whipping them, bond together stronger, and it just builds a stronger meringue. Yes?
You're refrigerating the egg whites for how long? How long do you age?
Usually 2 or 3 days, and then you're going to always want to use room temperature egg whites as well. Yes? You can use packaged egg whites. Then you don't need the cream of tartar because the preservatives that they put in the egg whites will help. And you just want to incorporate the dry ingredients a little bit before you add the rest of them. And you want to be careful when mixing not to undermix, because if you undermix, your piping tips won't settle out of the batter. Had that happen a few times. Once our sous chef actually ate them as cereal because we couldn't use them in the restaurant. So you also want to be careful not to overmix, because then your macarons will spread and won't get good feet. Make sure you incorporate everything. So when the batter falls into itself is when you're done mixing. Right now it's just a little bit undermixed, and it'll get kind of shiny and just the lumps will settle out of it. Whoop. Mix. Okay. So when piping the cookies, you want to make sure you line yourself up with the sheet pan. You don't want to be all on an angle. And then I don't put all of the batter in the piping bag, so you have better control of the piping bag and you don't hurt your wrist. Just going to want to squeeze from the top, and you're going to want to pipe them out in quarter sizes. You don't want to put them too close together, because then you'll just get one giant cookie. Don't want that. And then as you pipe, if you've mixed your batter correctly, all of your piping tips will settle out. In a lot of the recipes I've looked at, some people leave their macaroons out for 10 or 15 minutes before they put them in the oven so they dry, but this particular recipe doesn't call for that. We bake them in an oven at 350. We bake them for 6 minutes, and then we turn them and bake them for another 3. $350. Just get the rest of the batter in here. Do you have a question?
Yes. Do you turn the bake machine on the other side after 6 minutes?
Yes, you rotate them in the oven. Whew. That one's gonna have a weird mark in it. Some important things to know are, everybody has bad macaroon days, so if you try the recipe and it doesn't work out, don't be discouraged. And some tricks for after baking. The scariest time for me with making macaroons is often when they come out of the oven. Sometimes if you underbake them, they get dark spots in them. And if you catch the dark spots in the first few minutes out of the oven, you can throw them back in for another minute and they'll usually correct themselves. And if you take them out of the oven and you can't seem to get them off of your sheet pan, you can pop them in the freezer for 10 or 15 minutes, and then they'll pop right off. Does anyone have any other questions for Danielle about the actual macaroon, the cookie? I'm going to demonstrate making a filling for you. Yes. No, you want to do it by hand so you can really get a feeling for the mixture and how it falls back into yourself. The more you do it, the better you'll get at feeling when the batter's ready to be piped. Because with the mixer, you can't feel it. Yes? The dark spots, under baking, humidity sometimes. The macaroons are so finicky sometimes. I mean, during the summer when it's humid all the time, I mean, it's a struggle. But, you know, after making them every day, you learn all the tricks.
They still taste okay with the dark spots?
Yeah, they still taste okay. They kind of have a cakey texture to them instead of the, crunch that you're looking for. Yes? If they're overcooked, when they're overcooked, they're too crunchy. And if they're undercooked, they get dark spots and wrinkles on them.
Great, thank you, Danielle. I'm Melissa, and I'm going to show you how to make a filling for these macarons. And we didn't provide any recipes for you guys, so if you have any other questions, feel free to contact us. You can visit our website at graciesprob.com, or we're opening a bakery at the end of this year, so you can check that out on Facebook, Ellie's Bakery. So macarons are very versatile, and you can fill them with all sorts of different fillings, buttercreams, ganache, jam. So what we did for you today is a white chocolate cranberry ganache. At Gracie's we do seasonal baking, so we were very inspired by a new harvest of cranberries that came in. So we cooked that down and made a house-made cranberry jam. But you can use a store-bought jam, and the ratio that I'm going to provide for you, you can switch out with the seasons. You can do it with the strawberry jam, with this white chocolate ganache, blueberry, huckleberry, pretty much endless possibilities. So to start, you're going to heat your cream. This is a 3-to-1 ratio. So it is 1 part cream, so I have 50 grams here. And that ratio is by weight. So whether you're using grams or ounces, it doesn't matter, but not by volume. You can do this by cups. So you're going to heat that. You're going to heat that to just a steam. And while that happens, I actually put the bowl of chocolate that we have on top, and that just kind of helps the chocolate start to melt, and then once we have that up to a steam, it'll emulsify much faster. With this ratio, you can also do it in the microwave. You just have to be careful because you don't want to overheat chocolate at all. So if you decide to do it in the microwave, you would add in a microwave-safe bowl your chocolate and your cream, and just increments of 30 seconds and stop to whisk. So it's 1 part cream, 2 parts cranberry jam, and 3 parts white chocolate. And we're using a Felchlin brand chocolate. We use a couple different chocolates at Gracie's, but this is the one that we use for this ganache for the macarons. And Danielle also used Felchlin dark chocolate cocoa powder in the cookie recipe, which is a non-Dutch process dark chocolate. So it's not alkalized. So once your cream is ready, which it is right here, you just go ahead and pour that over your chocolate and whisk to emulsify. after this point, you want to cool it slightly so that when you go to add your jam, you can get this really nice swirl technique that I'll show you here. So this is white chocolate ganache that we did ahead of time. We emulsified it and then we chilled it slightly so it's nice and firm. You can see that here. And then we're going to add the 2 parts cranberry jam. And we cooked that down with a little bit of orange zest, orange juice, a little bit of maple and brown sugar. But again, you can use any of your favorite jams, or apple butter or pumpkin butter, that would be nice too. So what I'm doing here is just kind of folding the jam into the white chocolate so you get this kind of marbled effect. And then when you're ready to fill the macaroons, we have some really beautiful baked macaroons that Danielle did. They look gorgeous. Really nice and shiny.
This is what happens with your parchment paper if it's not properly disforms your cookie.
And then you can dehydrate those and pour milk over them and have them as cereal. Alright, so I'm just filling a piping bag here with this filling. We serve these French macaroons at the restaurant every night as mignardises. So at the end of every meal, each guest gets a macaroon. So we're always coming up with different flavor combinations, kind of changes with the seasons.
This is also a time-consuming part of making macaroons, making sure that they match up properly.
Yeah, so what Danielle's doing is each macaroon kind of bakes a little bit differently. So you want to pair them exact or else
they don't look nice.
Yeah, they don't fill correctly. They just don't look nice. Excellent. So once they're all set, you're going to go through and fill almost to the edge with your ganache. And it just looks so nice with that swirled cranberry.
So with storage of macaroons, you can store them in the fridge for 3 to 5 days, and then if you want to keep them longer, you can actually freeze them for a couple of months. So that's about it. Any other questions? Yes?
So this is a heavy cream. We get a 40% milk butter fat in our cream that we get, but and honestly, if you went to the grocery store and got heavy cream, it's usually between 36 and 40%, and any of that would work in this ratio.
Any other questions? Yes?
Alright, great. Well, like I said before, you can feel free to visit us. We're in Providence, Rhode Island, downtown. And check us out online at graciesprov.com, and please check out our coming soon bakery, Ellie's. Yeah? I'm sorry?
It'll be right down the street from the restaurant.
On Washington Street, just behind the Biltmore. Thank you. Thank you for coming in.